The retainer account alert hit my phone at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, showing a withdrawal I never authorized. I'm Benjamin Maplewood, 42, senior counsel at a boutique mergers firm in Salt Lake City. 20 years of corporate acquisitions taught me to trust numbers over people. Numbers don't lie, people do. The alert showed $47,500 pulled from the Morrison Industries retainer account. Our case management system logged the transaction at 11:23 p.m. Monday. I was home watching Netflix then, not processing client payments. I pulled up our firm's banking portal on my laptop. The withdrawal appeared legitimate. Proper authorization codes. Correct account routing. Even my digital signature attached to the transfer request. Except I never signed anything. The Morrison deal was our biggest this quarter. A $12 million acquisition requiring careful fund management. Their retainer sat at $180,000 when I left the office Monday evening. Now it showed $132,500. I scrolled through the transaction history. 3 similar withdrawals over the past month, all after hours. All bearing my electronic signature. Total missing. $142,500. My hands trembled as I opened our internal case management system. The Morrison file showed normal activity. Discovery documents uploaded on schedule. Court filings submitted properly. Billing entries looked standard. But the payment authorizations told a different story. Each withdrawal coincided with major case milestones. The first came after we filed the preliminary merger documents. The second followed our due diligence completion. The third happened right after Morrison's board approved the acquisition. Someone with system access was timing these thefts perfectly. I checked the user logs. My credentials appeared on every transaction. But the IP addresses varied. Some from our office network, others from locations I'd never visited. The most recent withdrawal originated from an IP address in downtown Salt Lake City, not our building. I grabbed my phone and called our IT support line. Voicemail, of course. The Morrison retainer wasn't the only account showing irregularities. I pulled up 3 other active cases. Similar patterns emerged. After-hours withdrawals. My forged signatures. Missing funds totaling over $300,000. My chest tightened. 20 years of building my reputation could vanish overnight. The Utah State Bar doesn't forgive client fund violations. Neither do criminal prosecutors. I needed to trace these transactions before morning. Before anyone else discovered the missing money. The office building stood empty at 3:15 a.m. Security cameras tracked my entry. Good. I wanted documentation of my presence. Our server room hummed quietly in the basement. I logged into the main system using my administrative access. The audit trails painted a disturbing picture. Someone had been systematically draining client retainer accounts for 6 months. Always small amounts. Never enough to trigger automatic alerts. The thefts accelerated recently, growing bolder. The perpetrator knew our systems intimately. They understood client billing cycles. They recognized when large retainers would go unnoticed for weeks. This wasn't random cybercrime, this was inside knowledge. I printed the transaction logs and locked them in my desk. Tomorrow I'd start hunting for the person destroying my career. The elevator doors opened on the parking garage level. My footsteps echoed against concrete walls. The city slept while someone systematically robbed our clients. My phone buzzed with another alert. The Henderson Industries retainer account. Another unauthorized withdrawal. Another $25,000 gone. The thief was still active. The betrayal started 18 months earlier, though I didn't recognize it then. Alessandra Lexington joined our firm as client relations manager during my most challenging period. The Hartwell merger had collapsed spectacularly. 3 months of 18-hour days ended with opposing counsel discovering a regulatory violation we'd missed. My client lost $50 million. The partnership questioned my competence. I was drowning in depositions, regulatory filings, and damage control. Sleep became optional. Meals turned into protein bars consumed between conference calls. Alessandra stepped in during my nervous breakdown at trial. She reorganized my case files, managed client communications, and handled administrative tasks I'd neglected. Her efficiency impressed everyone. Partners praised her initiative. Clients appreciated her responsiveness. She saved my career that winter. "Benjamin, you need to delegate more," she said one evening, organizing discovery documents while I reviewed merger agreements. "You can't handle everything personally." Her advice made sense. I'd been micromanaging every detail, burning out my support staff. Alessandra offered solutions. She could handle client retainer deposits. She understood our billing software better than anyone. She'd streamline our financial processes. I granted her administrative access to our trust accounts in March. The partnership approved unanimously. Alessandra had earned our confidence through months of dedicated service. The first red flag appeared in June. A client called asking about delayed retainer refunds. I checked our records. The refund had been processed weeks earlier. Our system showed the transaction completed successfully. "Must be a banking delay," I told the client. "I'll follow up with our accounts manager." Alessandra investigated immediately. She discovered a processing error in our bank system. The refund was reissued within days. The client thanked us for our prompt attention. Similar incidents occurred throughout the summer, always minor discrepancies, always resolved quickly. Alessandra handled each situation professionally, often identifying solutions before I noticed problems. I trusted her completely. The Morrison Industries merger consumed my attention through September. A $200 million acquisition requiring extensive due diligence. I worked 16-hour days reviewing contracts, analyzing financial statements, and coordinating with regulatory agencies. Alessandra managed everything else. Client communications, billing inquiries, retainer account maintenance. She became indispensable to our daily operations. The partnership considered promoting her to Senior Client Relations Manager. Her salary would increase substantially. Her responsibilities would expand across multiple practice areas. "She's earned it," Senior Partner Nelson Lexington told me during our October review meeting. "Alessandra has transformed our client service standards." I agreed enthusiastically. Alessandra deserved recognition for her contributions. The promotion became effective November 1st. Her new position included oversight of all client trust accounts. She could authorize transfers, process refunds, and manage retainer deposits without additional approvals. The partnership celebrated her advancement with a dinner at the Grand America Hotel. Alessandra thanked everyone for their support. She promised to maintain our firm's reputation for excellence. 2 weeks later, the Morrison retainer alert arrived. I spent the next 3 days reconstructing the theft timeline. The painted a methodical operation spanning 6 months. Small withdrawals from dormant accounts. Larger amounts from active cases during busy periods. Always using my forged credentials. Alessandra had studied our clients' payment patterns. She knew which retainers would remain untouched for weeks. She understood our internal audit schedules. She recognized when partners were too distracted to notice minor discrepancies. The Henderson Industries account showed her most sophisticated work. She'd created false billing entries to justify retainer withdrawals. The invoices appeared legitimate in our system. Only detailed analysis revealed the fabricated charges. She'd stolen $347,000 across 12 client accounts. The IP address logs provided the final confirmation. Most transactions originated from our office network during normal business hours, but several came from external locations. Coffee shops, hotels, residential addresses. I cross-referenced those locations with Alessandra's calendar. Perfect matches. She'd accessed our systems remotely during client meetings, court appearances, and business trips. The woman who'd saved my career was systematically destroying it. Thursday morning arrived with another retainer alert. The Westfield Corporation account. Alessandra had withdrawn $30,000 at 2:47 a.m. Her boldness was escalating. I needed before confronting her. Screenshots, transaction logs, IP address records. Everything documented and preserved. The server room provided what I needed. I copied the complete audit trail to an encrypted drive. Bank records, system logs, forged authorization documents. The tree was overwhelming. Alessandra arrived at 8:30 a.m., carrying coffee and her usual cheerful demeanor. She greeted our receptionist warmly, asked about weekend plans, and settled into her office. I watched her through my doorway. She appeared completely normal. No signs of stress or guilt. She'd been stealing from our clients for months while maintaining perfect professional composure. My phone rang. Morrison Industries' CFO wanted to discuss their retainer balance. They were planning additional legal work and needed to verify available funds. I checked their account. The balance showed $125,000, but my records indicated $200,000 should remain. Alessandra had stolen $75,000 from Morrison alone. I'll review the account details and call you back, I told the CFO. The conversation would happen within hours. Morrison would discover the missing funds. They'd demand explanations. The Utah State Bar would launch investigations. Criminal charges would follow, unless I acted immediately. I locked my office door and called our managing partner. Nelson Lexington needed to know about the theft before clients started asking questions. "We have a serious problem," I began. Nelson Lexington arrived within 20 minutes. His silver hair was disheveled, his usual composed demeanor replaced by grim determination. I'd worked with Nelson for 8 years. He'd never looked this serious. "Show me everything," he said, closing my office door. I walked him through the bank records, system logs, IP addresses, forged authorizations. Nelson studied each document with the methodical precision that made him one of Salt Lake City's most respected attorneys. "How much total?" he asked. "At least $400,000 across 12 client accounts, possibly more." Nelson's jaw tightened. "How long has this been happening?" 6 months minimum. The earliest suspicious transaction I found dates back to March. He leaned back in my chair, processing the implications. Client lawsuits, bar complaints, criminal charges, firm reputation destroyed. Alessandra's theft could our practice entirely. "We need to involve the Economic Transparency Bureau immediately," Nelson said. "This requires professional investigation." I'd expected this response. The ETB handled complex financial crimes within professional services. Their internal law practice investigator, Victor Simmons, specialized in attorney misconduct cases. "What about Alessandra?" I asked. "She doesn't leave this building until Simmons arrives. We'll secure her computer, freeze her access, and document everything." Nelson made the call. Victor Simmons would arrive by noon. Meanwhile, we needed to contain the situation without alerting Alessandra to our discovery. I returned to my office and continued normal activities, reviewed contracts, answered emails, prepared for afternoon depositions. But my attention remained fixed on Alessandra's movements. She spent the morning handling client calls and updating case files. Her behavior remained completely natural. No nervous glances, no unusual computer activity, no attempts to access financial systems. At 11:45 a.m., Victor Simmons arrived. Tall, methodical, carrying a briefcase filled with forensic equipment. He'd investigated dozens of attorney theft cases. His reputation for thoroughness was legendary. Nelson briefed him privately while I monitored Alessandra. She was scheduling client meetings for next week, completely unaware that her career was ending. "Mr. Maplewood," Simmons said, entering my office, "I need to review your before we proceed." I presented the complete documentation: transaction records, system logs, IP addresses, forged authorizations. Simmons examined each piece with clinical precision. "This is substantial," he concluded. "We'll need to secure her computer and conduct formal interviews." The confrontation happened at 12:30 p.m. Nelson, Simmons, and I entered Alessandra's office together. She looked up from her computer with mild curiosity. "Alessandra, we need to discuss some financial discrepancies." Nelson began. Her expression didn't change. "What kind of discrepancies?" Simmons placed printed bank records on her desk. Unauthorized withdrawals from client retainer accounts. multiple transactions over 6 months. Alessandra studied the documents. Her face remained calm, but I noticed her hands trembling slightly. "I don't understand," she said. "These accounts are managed by our banking department. The withdrawals were authorized using your system credentials," Simmons explained, "from locations matching your travel schedule." The was overwhelming. IP addresses, timestamps, forged authorization documents bearing her digital signature. Alessandra's composure finally cracked. "I can explain everything," she whispered. "Please do," Nelson said. Alessandra's confession took 45 minutes. She discovered the retainer system's security vulnerability during routine client work. The bonus payout scheme had started small, $5,000 here, $10,000 there. But her gambling addiction had escalated the amounts. "I planned to replace everything," she insisted. "I had a system. I was winning." Simmons documented every detail. The confession would support criminal charges and bar disciplinary proceedings. "You're terminated immediately," Nelson announced. "Security will escort you out." Alessandra gathered her personal items while Simmons secured her computer. She avoided eye contact as security led her through the lobby. 8 years of professional relationship ended in silence. The afternoon brought crisis management. Nelson contacted our malpractice insurance carrier while I prepared client notifications. 12 companies needed immediate contact about their compromised accounts. Morrison Industries' CFO took the news professionally. "We'll need full documentation for our insurance claim," he said, "but we appreciate your transparency." Other clients reacted with varying degrees of anger and disappointment. 3 threatened immediate lawsuits. 2 demanded complete case file transfers. 1 questioned our firm's competence entirely. By 6 p.m., we'd contacted all affected clients. The financial damage was contained, but our reputation faced serious challenges. Victor Simmons completed his preliminary investigation that evening. "Criminal charges will be filed within 48 hours, he informed us. The Utah State Bar will launch parallel disciplinary proceedings." "What about our clients?" I asked. "Full restitution is required immediately. Your malpractice insurance should cover the losses." Nelson and I worked until midnight, calculating exact restitution amounts and preparing insurance claims. The firm would survive financially, but rebuilding client trust would take years. Friday morning brought unexpected support. Several clients called to express continued confidence in our services. They appreciated our immediate disclosure and transparent handling of the crisis. "These things happen," Morrison's CFO said. "Your response demonstrates integrity." The Utah State Bar opened their investigation that afternoon. I provided complete documentation and testified about Alessandra's access to client accounts. The supported immediate license suspension pending criminal trial. Alessandra was arrested Monday morning. The charges included theft, computer fraud, and professional misconduct. Local news covered the story briefly, focusing on the amounts involved rather than our firm's response. I testified at her preliminary hearing 2 weeks later. The judge found probable cause for all charges and set trial for January. Alessandra's attorney negotiated a plea agreement involving full restitution and permanent bar suspension. The firm implemented new security protocols immediately. Dual authorization for all financial transactions, enhanced system monitoring, and quarterly external audits. Nelson hired a compliance specialist to oversee client account management. 3 months later, our practice had stabilized. We'd retained most clients and attracted new business through referrals. The crisis had actually strengthened our reputation for ethical handling of difficult situations, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd missed obvious warning signs. Alessandra's gambling addiction, her financial stress, her unusual system access patterns. The betrayal felt personal, despite its professional nature. The trial concluded in February with Alessandra pleading guilty to all charges. She received 18 months in prison and permanent disbarment. Full restitution was ordered, though recovery remained uncertain given her financial situation. I attended the sentencing hearing. Alessandra apologized to the court and our clients but avoided looking at me directly. 8 years of professional partnership ended with a judge's gavel. 6 months after Alessandra's sentencing, I walked into my new office overlooking Temple Square. The morning light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across polished hardwood floors. I joined a plaintiff-focused firm handling intra-firm fraud cases. The irony wasn't lost on me. My experience with Alessandra's betrayal had become my greatest professional asset. Clients sought representation from someone who understood the devastation of professional misconduct firsthand. The new practice specialized in attorney malpractice and client fund theft cases. We represented victims of legal profession betrayals across the Mountain West. My first case involved a solo practitioner in Denver who discovered his paralegal embezzling settlement funds. The patterns felt familiar. Nelson's firm had recovered completely. He'd hired 2 new associates and expanded into securities law. We maintained professional contact, occasionally referring cases that fell outside our respective specialties. The crisis had ultimately strengthened his practice's reputation for ethical transparency. Alessandra served 14 months before early release. I heard she'd moved to Phoenix and worked as a legal document preparer. Her law license remained permanently revoked. The restitution payments arrived monthly, small amounts that would take decades to complete full recovery. The Utah State Bar used our case in continuing education seminars about client fund protection. I'd spoken at 3 conferences, sharing lessons about trust account security and internal controls. The presentations felt therapeutic, transforming personal betrayal into professional education. My new partners appreciated my experience with financial fraud detection. We'd implemented sophisticated monitoring systems that tracked every client transaction in real time. The technology prevented the kind of systematic theft Alessandra had orchestrated. The work proved satisfying in unexpected ways. Each case we won restored faith in legal profession accountability. Clients found closure through successful recovery of stolen funds and professional discipline of corrupt attorneys. Last week, I'd secured a $340,000 judgment against a Boise attorney who'd misappropriated client retainers. The victory felt like vindication for every sleepless night I'd spent questioning my judgment about Alessandra. The betrayal had taught me that trust required verification. Professional relationships needed boundaries and oversight. Even 8-year partnerships could conceal devastating deception. But it had also revealed the legal profession's capacity for self-correction. Bar associations, courts, and ethical attorneys work together to protect clients and maintain professional standards. The system functioned when good lawyers refused to tolerate corruption. My desk held a photo from the Morrison Industries closing ceremony. The deal had proceeded successfully despite the crisis. Their executives had praised our firm's handling of the theft disclosure. Professional integrity had preserved the relationship. The afternoon sun shifted across my office walls. Case files lined the shelves, each representing someone's fight for justice after professional betrayal. The work felt meaningful, in ways corporate mergers never had. I opened my laptop and reviewed tomorrow's deposition schedule. A new client was flying in from Las Vegas, another victim of attorney theft seeking recovery and accountability. The cycle continued, but now I stood on the right side of justice. The phone rang with another potential case referral. I answered with confidence, knowing my experience had prepared me for whatever deception might emerge. The betrayal that had nearly destroyed my career had ultimately defined my purpose. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.